Hey everyone, and welcome back to Dallas Cowboys coverage after an incredible first game against the New York Giants. Cowboys win 40 to nothing. It was a shellacking. It was incredible. The defense was amazing. The special teams was amazing. It was an all-around incredible performance. So I'm just gonna break that down. What a start to the season. I mean, I don't think you can ask for much better than that. The offense barely had to play. I mean, if that tells you anything, and you still won 40 to 0. It was incredible. Obviously, it starts with the defense. Micah Parsons, awesome. Dorrance Armstrong had 2 sacks. Oso Digizua, 2 sacks. Overall, sacks. I think there were about 7 in the entire game. It was incredible. The Cowboys just absolutely go off against the Giants, and the Giants, I mean, their home stadium, you can try to blame the weather, but hey, if anyone should be affected by it, it should be the Cowboys, and that wasn't the case. So it was just an incredible game. The Cowboys obviously just dominant in every aspect. Just obviously started off with the Giants kind of, a solid drive running down the field, but that blocked kick by Wanye Thomas, he was awesome, by the way. Just completely flips momentum, obviously. After that, the rest is history. The Cowboys defense gets on track and does not look back. It was just incredible all around. Obviously, I talked about the defensive line, getting pressures, getting sacks. Linebackers were solid as well. Cornerback and secondary, it was amazing. Stephon Gilmore, the new 21 in town, looked absolutely incredible. He had a great interception, getting his hands under that one. Absolutely amazing. Diggs forces an interception for Jourdan Bland, just falls in his lap as he gets that pick six. He forced a fumble. It was just incredible. I mean, player of the game is the entire defense. I don't think you can even pick one. It was just so good, and you can't ask for better than that to start the season, obviously. An incredible performance. I mean, we saw the Eagles get a solid win. We saw the 49ers do very well against the Steelers. But this game, I think, easily topped them all. And there's no team, obviously, just 1 week that is hotter than the Cowboys after that game. I mean, it was incredible. And just what a 180. If you guys want to go back and see my video from week 1 last season, it was a pretty different reaction. I think if a game ends in Cooper Rush going in at quarterback, it's either really, really good or really, really bad. Last year, it was really bad because Dak broke his thumb. This year, it was incredible because the game was over and you were winning 40 to nothing. Just what a flip, I think. And it goes to more than just the game itself. Obviously, a dominant performance, unlike last year where the Cowboys looked lost out there in a terrible loss to the Buccaneers. But I think it goes beyond that because the feeling going into this game, is a feeling I didn't have last season. Last year, all we talked about was how bad the offseason was, how you cut Amari Cooper, or traded Amari Cooper, you cut La'el Collins, you just got rid of all these key pieces and got all this money, saved all this cap space, but you did nothing with it. The Cowboys did nothing with it. And you went into the season, I felt like, you weren't prepared. You weren't up to par with the other NFC or, just league competitors. The Cowboys were not on the same level. And for the first time in years, going into the season, I didn't have that excitement that this is our year, It felt bad. And obviously that game was just kind of the epitome of it. The Cowboys, contrary to what some people might believe, I've said it before and I'll say it again. I think they overachieved last season based on the talent, based on the roster, and based on just the way the entire team was constructed from the very beginning, starting with last offseason. So, I think to me, one playoff win, that was a success. We didn't feel it at the time. But if you look at the season, look at everything that went into it, to me, you can't really be upset about that. But this season, it just felt different. Finally, the offseason was eventful. Finally, Steven and Jerry go out and get players, trade for Stephon Gilmore, trade for Brandin Cooks. I mean, these are going to be two of the most important players on this team. New guys. And obviously, that's just building upon the pieces you already have in place. This is a homegrown team. This is a team that drafts very well, which, I'm thankful for, because if it weren't for that, the Cowboys would not be relevant. They wouldn't. clear as simple as that. But finally, you've created these extra pieces. Sometimes, all the time, you can draft incredibly. You can do all this so well, but sometimes you just need that extra piece to put you over the top. And the Cowboys have not gone out and found an extra piece like that since they signed Deion Sanders back in the 90s. I was not alive, not even close. So this is the first time, I think, at least in my lifetime, that we've seen this proactiveness during the offseason, bringing not one, but two superstar players on each side of the ball, Brandin Cooks and Stephon Gilmore. And we already saw Gilmore have a huge impact. I think Brandin Cooks will continue to have an impact as the offense actually, gets to be on the field more than they were. So finally, I just feel like the Cowboys did what needed to be done to put themselves in a position to succeed, and succeed they did in this game. So, I know it's early. I'm not going to say we're winning the Super Bowl or anything like that, but it feels different, doesn't it? Doesn't it? I think it does. So to me, if there's a year to do it, it's this year. So I know I probably shouldn't say it. I'll knock on wood, but this is our year. I'm calling it right now. So you guys can make fun of me in the comments, but let me know. Predict the record, the Cowboys record, at the end of the season. I'd have to go through the games before I can pick mine. But to me, you can't get off to a better start than this. And once again, it goes beyond this. Just the momentum you've carried in from the free agency, from trades, from the draft, everything, training camp, everything that has gone into this moment, week one, finally here, it all paid off. Everything you did showed on the field, and that's why you won, and that's why you won so dominantly, because everything, Dan Quinn returning, I think we can't understate the fact that he came back. Everything just worked out. Mike McCarthy calling plays, Schottenheimer as the new OC, everything just looked right. It felt right. And I'll get into the offense a little bit. Tony Pollard looked great. He coming off the injury, we were concerned about that a little bit. It looked like it never even happened. And Dak, I think for the first time in a while, just looked comfortable. The Cowboys didn't put up a whole lot of offensive production in this game, So I'm not going to, it's hard to really judge from that side of the ball yet, but he looked comfortable out there. He took what the defense gave him, and this offense, they took what the defense gave them. They ran the football. I mean, Pollard had 70-ish yards, 2 touchdowns. And, that was fine. Dak, just had a little over 100 yards. And the completion percentage, wasn't great. But, again, that does go back to some drops. Again, it was raining. It was wet. I'm not going to be mad about that. But most importantly, no interceptions. Dak didn't turn the ball over once. There wasn't a single play where I was like, ooh, you got lucky there. It didn't happen because he looked comfortable. He looked natural out there. And, yeah, they didn't put up 400 yards of offense. But it didn't matter. You won 40-0. This is a team that has a championship level defense. I believe it is the best defense in the NFL. The 49ers are great. The Eagles are great. This defense is better. This defense has what it takes to carry this team to a championship. The offense has what it takes to be one of the best offenses in the entire league. But the thing is, it doesn't have to be when your defense is this good. This team finally, it put it all together. Even though the offense didn't go crazy, you took what the defense gave you. I've said that about 3 times, but it's true. That matters because so much last season, that wasn't the case. I felt like Kellen Moore, once he got Dak back, he was so obsessed with putting up numbers, putting up yards, scoring, just out of your mind, that I think they lost sort of the bigger picture because when Dak went down, the defense was forced to step up and to carry this team. They were. Cooper Rush, I'm not gonna take anything away from him. He did a good job last year, but he's not the reason we won all those games. The defense was. And I think so much we're saying, how come the offense and the defense and even special teams, they can't all play well in the same week? And I'm not going to blame it all on coaching or scheming or anything like that. Sometimes, it just doesn't work out. But over and over, we talked about the team needs to be more complementary or else they're not going to have success. And that's what it was. Aside from the Vikings game and a few others, Rarely did we have the offense, the defense, and the special teams show up at once. When we did, we dominated. But it didn't happen over and over. And I think the reason is the Cowboys, and especially Kellen Moore, they just were so focused on, being a great offense. The defense was focused on the defense. They weren't playing for each other. They were playing for themselves. And I think it's different this year because Kellen Moore, I think so many times, was putting Dak in positions to be overly aggressive. And I'm not going to say it's all on him. He's not the reason necessarily Dak threw interceptions. Sometimes they were bad passes. Sometimes he made a wrong read. But I think what it was is that so many times Dak was being forced to throw the ball, forced to throw it downfield, forced to, make plays, get yards, that it wasn't natural. He wasn't comfortable. He was forcing things. And the play calling was a big part of that. The route trees, stuff like that, put you in a position where you're turning the ball over. And that's how you lose games, through turnovers, through giving the other team a chance to, score. You weren't so much losing, or you weren't so much, getting beat. You were beating yourself. And I think that happened so much last season that, as good as the defense was, if you're beating yourself, if you're shooting yourself in the foot, which they did so much offensively, you're counteracting the defense and you're shifting momentum away from you. And that, believe it or not, matters because, some people try to say momentum's not a thing. It is. The Giants had the momentum in the first drive of this game. Let's be honest. I think there was some concern. They were running the ball well. That block kick happened, and then it shifted. The defense, went out there. They feasted, and they didn't look back. You won 40-0, despite that first drive not going your way until the very end. And even if it's just one play, that's what matters. A win is a win. And I'm not talking about just winning a game. I'm talking about every little play. And that's what I think is different about this team. They're not so focused on one thing, about yards or about, necessarily, turnovers or something like that. It's just feels more natural. Both sides of the ball. The defense, you were constantly rotating. Micah Parsons wasn't in the game the entire time. You were shifting. You were keeping guys fresh. You were just playing to everyone's strengths. And I think that's something that it feels simple. It feels like, duh. But it didn't happen so much last year. And that was a reason you lost quite a few of those games that you did. There were a lot of close ones that were frustrating that you should have won. But little mistakes, little turnovers, little plays like that, they can make all the difference. And I think, obviously a lot of things went your way in this game, but, it wasn't just a fluke. It wasn't just because it happened. This team went and was prepared from a roster standpoint, from a game planning standpoint, from a coaching standpoint, in every single facet, from McCarthy to Schottenheimer to Dan Quinn to Joe Witt to John Vossel and everyone in between. Everyone was on the same page. And I think that's something that's going to matter throughout this entire season. Once again, it's week 1. I'm not going to try to go crazy over just 1 week, but it was a good week. It was a very good week. And this is something that's just going to need to continue. Just playing natural, playing to your players' strengths, making Dak feel comfortable in the offense. We know he's capable. We saw him be the offensive coordinator in that last preseason game, and it was incredible. I mean, he helped Will Grier to a masterclass performance, and he didn't turn the ball over. Something Will Grier was having problems with, and I think Dak knows. He's a veteran now. He knows his strengths. He knows where he's comfortable, and he knows what plays to make. He's an incredibly intelligent player. And I'm not going to say he's not going to make mistakes, but man, I promise you these turnover numbers are going to go down this year because he feels comfortable in this offense. And obviously, we haven't seen the full extent of it. I'm not saying this offense can't be explosive and that it can't be one of the best offenses in the league. I believe it will be. But I don't believe that they're going to lead the league in total yards like they have in the past few years. But that's okay. Yards doesn't matter. Being the first offense in the league, statistically, it doesn't matter. What matters is success. What matters is that you win games. And if that's what's happening, the rest doesn't matter. It's all about playing naturally, playing to your strengths, playing with what you're comfortable with. Dak, he's one of the best play-action quarterbacks in the league. bootlegs. He makes those plays. He is a dead eye on those throws. Some of the throws, whether on those routes or not. I mean, like, for example, the Peyton Hendershot drop touchdown. There's defenders all around, and he threaded the needle right on his hands. He dropped it. There's some problems with that. The tight ends, unfortunately, were not as good as I was hoping they would be. But Dak, he has what it takes. He's gotten so much hate from the national media, from Cowboys fans, from everyone. But there's no one. He's such a great leader. He's such a great player. There's no one I'd rather be at the helm of this team. No one I'd rather be QB1 than Dak Prescott. And I think that he's going to show this year who he is, who he truly is, and who he is capable of being. And I think this team is going to have an incredible year. I know it's just one game. I know, you never know what can happen. But I believe in this team. I believe in Dak. I believe in this coaching staff more than I ever have before. So I'm excited, buckle up. I think this is going to be a really, really good season. So let me know. Give me your bold predictions. I asked you about record, anything else you want to add. So it was, just, again, such a great game. I can't understate it. I will go into a little more detail. Just the offensive line, I think, was also really solid. Even without Tyler Smith, Chuma Edoga did a good job. Terence Steele looks back. Him and Zack Martin are such a dominant right side of that line. I mean, they led the way for Tony Pollard. He looked awesome. Tyron Smith moving around, he looked more like, healthy. Even dealing with that sprained ankle, he really looked good out there. And again, I can go over the whole defense again, but Wanye Thomas, Marquise Bell, guys that were forced to step up because of, say, the Donovan Wilson injury. Man, they looked so good. It just feels like every single player on this team, is particularly on the defense, is capable of being a starter. Whether Marquise Bell as the 4th, 5th string safety looked like he belonged out there. This team is so deep. The defensive line, DeMarcus Lawrence, Dante Fowler, Dorrance Armstrong, Chauncey Golston, obviously Micah Parsons, just everyone had an impact. Sam Williams. And then in the interior, Jonathan Hankins, Mozzie Smith, Oso Digizua, Neville Gallimore. The run support, the run defense looked so much better. Aside from that first drive, which wasn't great, they looked in tune. And again, the constant moving of players, the shifting in and out. This line is so deep that you can do that. Players stayed fresh. Players stayed confident. And most importantly, no one got hurt in that game. Despite the conditions, despite the turf, it was really just such a good game. And I think this team is just unlike anything we've seen in Dallas in so long because it's so deep. And this is just about the defense. I haven't even gotten to talk about the offense because I think next week they're going to really have an opportunity to do a lot more because, they didn't have to. They just, they playing out. CeeDee Lamb was great. Tony Pollard was great. I think Dak Prescott did a good job, but there's just so much that we didn't even get to see yet. And I just feel like there's a whole dimension of this team offensively that is yet to even be uncovered, yet to even be shown. And once that clicks, once that, establishes itself, in addition to the defense, in addition to special teams, man, this team's going to be scary. And I'm so excited to watch this year. So, buckle up. It's going to be a great season. Just a few more things. Special teams, obviously, awesome. Other than one little thing, and I think that's Brandin Aubrey. Obviously missed that one extra point. Got back on track after that. Again, you can maybe, contribute that to some of the conditions. There's rain, it happens. But Brandin Aubrey, I think, is going to be a real X factor on this team. And I know, it's the kicker, but the kicker's important. I talked about the little things like that. Missed extra points, missed field goals. That can make a big impact in the long run. So Brandin Aubrey, I still have faith in him, hoping that he can kind of establish himself. The front office, the coaching staff, they believe in him. So I will too for now. But obviously, if he continues to struggle, guys like Robbie Gould, other free agents are going to continue to, maybe we give him a call. So we'll see. Brandin Aubrey, again, I just hope that he can continue to, focus, get back on track. Because once again, he's a rookie in this league, He was a soccer player before the USFL. So I'm going to give him some time. We'll see. But, other than that, there was really not a lot of negative to talk about. So, again, it was an incredible game. I can go on and on about it, but thanks so much for watching. I'm so excited for this season. I'll be doing these weekly videos for sure every week. So, stay tuned. Thanks again for watching. And real quick, before we finish, I do want to preview the Jets just briefly. Prayers up to Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, obviously, he does have a torn Achilles. And that's just, just so unfortunate for him. I'm not a Jets fan. I'm not an Aaron Rodgers fan. But, I think what they were putting together over there in New York was really special. And it's, unfortunate the way that that's going to be cut short. So prayers up to him. As much as I dislike Aaron Rodgers and everything he's done to the Cowboys, I really am disappointed for them. So unfortunate. I really did want to get to face him next week. But the reality of it is the Cowboys, they will have Zach Wilson. So the defense, I have a feeling they're going to feast once again. If they can get him under pressure, if they can get him uncomfortable, we're in for another really good game. So I think it's going to be, a little more balanced. It's probably not going to be the shellacking this one was, but hey, you never know. So the defense, look for them to be ready. Look for them to put a lot of pressure on Zach Wilson, and then look for the offense to take advantage and do their thing. So once again, thanks again for watching. I will see you guys next week. Predict the score of the Cowboys-Jets game if you'd like. Leave it in the comments, and thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys next time, and go Cowboys.